Hi, I'm Michael Chase and welcome to Cup of Joe, an interview series where we have caffeinated conversations with wickedly smart people about how brands are transforming the way they engage with people. Today we're speaking with the always engaging, outspoken, and digitally savvy Steve Mast, President and Chief Innovation Officer of Delvinia. Steve is also a Director-at-Large for the Canadian Marketing Association. You're coming from the world of being an architect and a games designer, moving into this world of marketing and development. How's this crazy shift, applying to your world today?
I actually think there's three sort of big significant disruptions that have happened. First one is really around automation. Saatchi & Saatchi out of London, UK, they actually implemented one of the first sort of smart ads, right? And what the ad does is it has sort of millions of different combinations, and it learns over time as people look at the ad and who responds to the ad and takes action in the ad. So every single time the ad's a little different. The second one is it's around this idea of sort of multi-sensory experiences. So if you look at examples like Marriott Hotels, how they've used VR and immersed people in these other sort of experiences, imagine the possibilities that brands can do with that. So I think this idea of multi-sensory experiences is very disruptive, and these things are starting to sort of converge and come together. And the last one is harnessing real-time data. I think a great example of it is when British Airways did their Look Up campaign, and if you remember that with the billboards, it was great, right? So, and that was really bringing in real-time data. And then this little boy would go across as a plane would fly overhead, and he'd point up and say, that's the airline going to Dubai from
The plane.
Yes, brilliant. Like it was emotionally brilliant, right? And every single time it was different. I think those three buckets to me are really interesting from a disruptive perspective.
18 years in for Delvinia, I found it really interesting on your 15th anniversary that you really plotted out sort of milestones against Google's incorporation, the advent of the Mac, the new social media era. What do you think are some of the biggest milestones that have happened out there in the marketing world that sort of match up against that?
Broadband put tremendous amount of infrastructure and a huge pipeline that gave marketers great opportunity to tell very rich media stories, right? Years later, a few years later, we saw sort of built on top of that was social media, right? And the ability to now have this sort of network of people that became advocates or influencers for your brand, right? Which was a significant change and opportunity for marketers. Built on that and sort of the next kind of wave, you saw sort of mobile and the sort of evolution or revolution of the opportunity of mobile. And what a marketer's dream when you think about it, right? So right message to the right people at the right time, brand in your pocket, tremendous opportunity in terms of mobile platform. From there, I think we're seeing now kind of where it hasn't really taken a hold yet, but you start seeing things like the Internet of Things, which is really around data, right? When we start connecting these dots and being able to truly track people and really truly bring to life these customer journeys that we always talk about, or path to purchase journeys, I think the Internet of Things really holds huge promise of really finally completing that puzzle. And then I think the thing that's emerging right now that you see a lot of talk about is artificial intelligence. So whether those are sort of agents like the Siris of the world, or even the advent of things like chatbots, which hold a huge amount of promise as well.
With so many channels and so many opportunities out there for marketers today, how do they battle these shrinking budgets, and where are the best opportunities? Where should they really focus today?
One part of it is obviously the people equation, which is getting the right talent in the right spots. If you get the right sort of senior leadership in place, they can guide those decision-making processes. The other part of it is the governance side of things. How do you identify, how do you assess, how do you test, how do you scale those opportunities? So I think there needs to be a new framework put in place.
Interesting world as we're changing so dramatically. What do you think are some of the most underutilized tools for marketers today?
Analytics. I think people think they're using it, but they're not really using it. There's still a lot of gut reaction that's driving people's decision making versus it being data-driven decision making.
As a company that's obviously clearly always innovating, what's next?
it's not so much what's next, it's what are we doing with all this? We haven't really leveraged all this that's been created and built yet, right? So I do think artificial intelligence is coming. It's here in very light areas with artificial agents, those kinds of things, but I think it holds huge promise for sure.
Wrapping up today's show, I'll ask you one more question. What one thing can marketers do today to transform the way they engage with people?
If you as a marketer really want to engage your customers, go take your analytics people for coffee or for a drink and become their best friend, because the knowledge they have will help transform the business that you're doing today.
All right, excellent, Steve. Great conversation.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed the coffee, and thank you.